System Practice Homework 7.2, Question 1. Sketch the following questions. For the first one, B, we know that according to the definition of the triangular function, which is t over tau is equals to 1 minus 2, the absolute value of t over tau, and absolute value of the t smaller than tau over 2. Otherwise, the t over tau equals to 0. So we can see the tau here is equals to 100 over 3. So the cross points at x-axis is minus 50 over 3 and 50 over 3. If we plot it, it will be just a circular function, and this is 1, and this is omega, and this is minus 50 over 3, and this is 50 over 3, and there is 0. And for the next question, it's a rectangular function. Its definition, we start with the definition, which is rectangular for t over a, 0, and 1, the absolute value of t larger than a over 2, and rectangle t over a is equals to 0.5, 1, the absolute t value equals to a over 2. Otherwise, it equals to 1 when the absolute t is smaller than a over 2. And the standard plotting is this is 1, and this is a over 2 minus, and this is a over 2. Something like this. So for here, we know that a here is equals to 8, right? And right shift, because it's minus 10, so right shift is 10. So we know that if we without shift, it's gonna be minus 4 and 4, and shift 10, right shift 10, which means this gonna be 6, and this is gonna be 14, right? So we can just plot, which is like this, and here is 6, and this is 14, and there is 10, and this is 1, right? And for the next one, which is a sinc function and with shift, and it's 10 pi, shift with the 10 pi. So we can know that the cross point, which is equals to sinc function, which is something like this. And this is 0, which here is corresponding to the 10 pi. And then and here the first cross point is 5 pi, and the next one is 20 pi. This is 5 pi, this is 10 pi, minus 5 pi, minus 10 pi, and it's right shift 10 pi. So eventually this will be looks like this. Its only difference is just here is just gonna be 10 pi, and here is 15 pi and 20 pi, and this is 5 pi, this is 0, something like this. Okay, so this is E, and for the F, for the F, it's basically like a filter. This is like filter, and this is a sinc function, and it's a broadener than the previous, than the original. So for this will be this is sinc function, so something like this, and this is 0 and 5 pi, right? Here is 5 pi minus 5 pi. And then for this rectangular function, which means this is because a is 10 pi, so its filter function is a over 2 minus, and this is 1. So here is also 1, right? So actually for this part it's gonna be something like this, and others is all 0. So it's only this part is exist in the final answer. So we can see it's a this just like this, because only this part is exist eventually. All others is times 0, so it's equals to 0. So this is minus 5 pi, and this is 5 pi, and there's 0. So that's the answer of this question. And for the next question is according to definition, which is the inverse Fourier transform's definition. Show the inverse China of rectangular is this sinc function. So we basically just calculate the inverse Fourier transform. It's just the integral. It's a Fourier transform definition. It's integral from negative infinite to net infinite, and times e to j omega t d omega. So this is 1 over 2 pi, and for this equation we can know that it forms 10 over, because we already know first is a is 2 pi, right? So it's minus pi, and then it's a shift to the right, so it's gonna be shift to right of 10. So it's like this. This is 10, and this is 10 minus pi and 10 plus pi, right? So we just integral of the 10 minus pi to 10 plus pi, and e to j omega t d omega, and then we calculate this integral. which is g 2 pi t e g omega t 10 minus pi 10 plus pi, and then is g 2 pi t1 and e j omega, it's g, because it's integral of the tau, so we just omega, so we just like this, and minus e to g 10 minus pi t, and then we can get it's pi t 10 to j 10 t sine pi t, and which means is sinc function pi t times e g 10 t. So this is the final answer. That's all. Thank you.